Does he do the pop-up on it too or no?
I don't know.
Fuck me. Hey, welcome back. Dean and Dave do movies.
We're back with another one. Another rated R extravaganza. Halloween Ends.
Because the spirit of Halloween never truly dies, does it?
Or does
it? Halloween Ends 1 hour, 51 minutes, which means if you pee yourself at the beginning like me, it's really going to start to smell by the end of it. Directed by David Gordon Green. This is his Halloween trilogy, starting off in 2018 with Halloween. Then Halloween Kills, which was 2020, right?
2021.
2021, that's right.
That was surprising to me too.
I can't recall. I just remember getting excited because Halloween Kills had if you know the band Ghost, they're like a Swedish band that almost has an 80s style synth with that really clean, high-pitched vocals. Regardless, they do the song Hunter's Moon, which is featured in Halloween Kills, and it was a badass song.
Nice.
So that got me stoked to Halloween Kills, and then we find out Halloween Ends in October of 2022. Again, the writers, John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, who created and now have concluded the series, potentially concluded. We'll get into that later. It should be the end of the trilogy, but does anything really end? We don't actually know. Composers are actually John Carpenter and his son Cody, as well as Daniel A. Davies. We have continuing star Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie, who she's been everything everywhere all at once.
Yep.
Has she done any other? I feel like she's
still floating around.
Well, yeah. She has been in Halloween Kills and Halloween, so she's active. She's floating around. She's great.
Oh,
we have Andy Matichak as Allison,
the daughter,
her granddaughter.
Yeah.
James Jude Courtney, he is the Shape, otherwise known as Michael Myers. Originally, that's a throwback from the original Halloween where he was known as the Shape, and John Carpenter referred to him in the script as the Shape because he tended to linger in the shadows. Linger was my word. I think it just said he was in the shadows.
I like how you said that, though.
Lingering, thank you. And then we have Rowan Campbell, who was Corey, the troubled, angsty young adult. This movie is budgeted for $33 million. It made $20.2 million on its first day, which is more than I dream of winning in a lottery. So that's a good first day. $96.2 million overall. Filmed in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Let's give you a synopsis. 4 years after her last encounter with masked killer Michael Myers, Laurie Strode is living with her granddaughter and trying to finish her memoir. Myers hasn't been seen since, and Laurie finally decides to liberate herself from rage, fear, and embrace her life. However, when a young man stands accused of murdering a boy that he was babysitting, it ignites a cascade of violence and terror that forces Laurie to confront the evil she can't control. Yeah, that's the synopsis for you.
Powerful.
Now, Dave, as powerful as it may be, did you like that power? Did you enjoy it? Were you a fan? Was there anything you liked about the movie?
I had a fun time. I'm not a horror person, nor am I a Halloween person. This is the first movie that I saw of the Halloween series. I've now seen all of this director's Halloween films in a bit of a discombobulated order.
3-1-2.
3-1-2. and I'm kind of glad that I saw the third one as a standalone, because I think I wouldn't have enjoyed it maybe as much as I did if I had known more, which is probably not a good thing, I guess. But
Yeah, well, let's dive into what you didn't like then. So you didn't think this one was an adequate part of the trilogy.
I think as far as like the other two go, I thought they were a lot more, I don't know, extravagant, a bit more interesting. Like I just didn't feel, I felt like this one maybe as a finale fell flat a bit in comparison to the previous ones. I'm not going to try and go too much into the two previous ones, but yeah, as someone coming at this not very much a horror fan, not really a Halloween fan, I had a fun time. I thought some of the action was entertaining and just hilarious and, you know, obviously violent. The story with Corey was kind of a weird one. I didn't really get, you know, I mean, I'm just going to guess here, but it felt like maybe after the first two movies, Michael Myers was kind of on, you know, running out of juice, and he kind of has to give away his power to some degree or something, and that's where Corey comes in. And Corey, for a while, you know, goes off the beaten trail there, and just kind of, he's a bit trying to be the next Michael Myers, and I don't know, it just felt like a weird direction to go in, and I don't know why they did that, and I don't know, it's kind of just silly to me. So
I agree with you on a lot of this. I think if I can sum up what you're saying and add on to, it was not by any means a steaming heap of shit.
no,
It was a good movie. It was a fun thing to watch. It
fun.
scared me a little bit, but overall, there was that angsty post-teen young adult love scene, which that tied into the beginning of being manslaughter of a child that this guy Corey was babysitting. You know, it had a lot of suspense. It had a lot of, how do you say it, thrilling? It was not a thrill. It caught you. You didn't know how to feel. At least I sat there. I was like, what the fuck's going to happen? It feels kind of awkward. And you almost feel like, not embarrassed, but you feel weird. You're kind of cringing and like, what the hell's going to happen here? Because now Allison, the granddaughter of Laurie, they're outcast because everyone fucking hates them because of Michael Myers scaring them and all these people dying. So they're outcast. Now Corey's an outcast because he's a manslaughterer. I don't know if you would still say murderer.
kid slaughterer,
Kid slayer.
yeah.
Slain Bell. Anyways, so there was that weird twist, which was interesting at first, and actually Rolling Stones said it was the best of the trilogy, saying it was interestingly complex with the tangle of emotions and fears. I think that's fucking wrong. I think it was complex, and I think at first it was good. It was complex and it was different. You sat there and you thought, okay, so this kid's trying to figure out his life after accidentally killing a fucking kid. This other young woman is living with her grandmother, who the town hates because Michael Myers is attracted to her or whatever, and has killed a lot of people in that town. And now they're in love, and they're both a bundle of hate. And not like hate, but like other people hate them, right? So that was weird. And then there was also a weird, so they fall in love, Then there's like a bullying scene. Corey kind of gets bullied in the town. So it really played into that love story theme. And John Carpenter did say that was kind of the note of the film was love. But it had signs of a kind of like Youngblood we were talking about. It almost had like coming of age parts to it too, where they're trying to grow. And I felt like the characters were trying to get over their past emotions. Laurie's writing a memoir. She's trying to be able to move on from it. Allison's trying to get in a relationship and move away from the town and grow up. And Corey's trying to relive a life that was taken from him from the manslaughter accident. And then this bullying weird teen thing kind of came into it, and that was a bit odd. And then Michael Myers finally fucking pops up in a sewer. I guess he doesn't pop up. I guess he
kind of just came. Well, he kind of did.
He
come out
pops
of
up
nowhere.
in the sewer.
And it was weird that he was hanging out in the sewer. Like, why would he kind of feel relegated to that? Like, he's never been one to just kind of shy away from killing people. So
yeah, no, it was definitely it was interesting parts of it. And then you have this weird dynamic of Corey he almost gets like, you seen Twilight?
Yep.
You know how the werewolves imprint on you? Fucking, if you don't know what the imprinting is, basically it's like marking somebody. Michael Myers basically marks Corey and fucking helps relieve his evil side. And then it's this weird story of like the romance between him and Allison. Laurie kind of catches on to it, especially when she notices him sleeping in the old house that was abandoned, where the kid died, killed that kid, and he's sleeping on the fucking blood stain on the floor. And she is all freaked out about him. Allison's like, I'm in love. Fuck you, Grandma. And And yeah, there's a lot of weird parts to it, and it kind of gets cringy in a certain way where you're like, you go from like, oh god, what's gonna happen? To, oh god, how is this gonna keep going on? But then when the killing starts happening, it really
fun.
brought me back in.
And there's creative ways in which people get killed, and some people, you kind of they get what's coming to them to some degree, and you have a fun time with it. But like you were saying with Corey, there was just moments, I think you're right, with the angst, especially like it just reminded me of Spider-Man 3 when Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker gets his, black costume and he changes his hair and he's dancing down the street and he's just being a total dick. It was pretty much like that. It was just a little bit too much for me, but
yeah, it had good notes. It was interesting. It definitely was interesting and different, but overall was not what I wanted to see. What I wanted to see was that fucking bully kid who pushed Corey over a bridge, to which ended up he kind of fell by the sewer that Michael dragged him into. That kid, spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you, he dies. But how he dies, he gets hit in the fucking head with the butt of a gun and then blowtorched in the mouth to death.
That was intense.
I've never, you watch a lot of these movies. None of the movies, I don't think I've ever seen a blowtorch flame open a mouth.
Yeah.
That was incredibly violent, but great to watch. Because you're like, he had it coming.
That was an intense.
I don't think he was a teen, by the way. I think even in the movie, he was a young adult, too. So, he was a young adult bully, which really deserves, if anyone deserves a blowtorch to the mouth, it was that fucker.
Definitely. And I think for me, as an outsider, too, to these movies, I think the one thing that I didn't always find maybe the violence was, it's gory, but it wasn't scary. But the thing I find kind of a bit scary about Michael Myers is that, one, his stature, but two, he moves very swiftly and methodically, and he's just very much like, you get the sense that he's unstoppable and he's just relentless, and like just that force, that ever moving force that just keeps coming towards you, and like you feel that on screen, just visually you can see it, and that's intimidating. That's pretty freaky as an outsider to this genre and to this series. So
I think, now that you phrase it that way, I didn't really tie it together, but it would make sense why he's referred to as the Shape, because he's this thing that lurks around, but comes at you very quickly, like you say, methodically. You think he'd be slow, but he can use anything as a weapon. Sewing needles, which is a tie back to the original Halloween, by the way, where Laurie stabs him with the sewing needles. He finally gets her back with that. He stabs her with sewing needles.
Full circle.
You got to be pretty quick to pierce someone with sewing needles, I meant. Not sewing, sorry, knitting needles.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm like, sewing needles, like, I don't know how much damage that would do, but those back in the right place, especially in the eye, up the nose or something.
Yeah, or in the hand, or in the shoulder. It was the shoulder. Get hit in the shoulder, that would hurt. Okay, so now we've kind of cleared off, realistically, what we didn't like. What'd you really like? Was it the death scenes? Like, what was it that really dived to you?
No, I think it's the creativity of the death scenes and the killing scenes. I think that's kind of what I really enjoyed. That was the fun part.
Yeah, me too. I'll be honest with you. I'm like you. I'm not a big horror movie fan, mainly because I'm too scared. But what I want to see in this horror movie is more of the action, is the slayings.
Mm-hmm.
Slaying a good word to use? Is that?
I think that's, we could say slaying, yeah.
Yeah. Regardless, I want to see him kill people. And that was when I got good, which was about 3/4 of the way through the movie.
Yeah.
Another spoiler, don't want to give it away. Willie the Kid, the radio DJ, he kind of puts down, makes fun of Corey at a certain point. So he gets his revenge. Where's the Michael Myers mask? Walks up to him while he's a radio DJ, so walks up to him in his studio, bashes his face into, his instruments, and then cuts off his tongue. Tongue falls on the vinyl record, and as that's playing, it starts skipping. So it shoots another a scene where Allison's in her car, and she's listening to the radio, and the song starts skipping and cutting out, and she's like, turns it off. But it's because his tongue was on the fucking record, and the needle keeps hitting it and throwing it off, and I was like, that, again, like the blowtorch to the mouth. I was like, now that is fucking cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Terrifying, scary, but interesting. Now, Dave, I'm going to be honest with you. Do you fully understand Michael Myers' powers? Because I feel like this movie is really like the only one that really tried to give like the best explanation of why he's unkillable. Because they call him as a monster, but he really is just like a human being with mystical powers, it seems like. So it doesn't explain how he has them.
Right.
But
or the extent of them to some degree either, right? Like I feel like it's very nebulous, like what his powers are, how you can kill him, like we talked about, right? Like,
so with Michael Myers' power,
yep.
I feel like number one, he has to imprint you. So it's where he like almost kills you, but stares you in the eyes, and that almost allows like channels your inner evil. Because once he did that to Corey and let him live, I think he let him live because he knew maybe he was
he identified with him, right? Because he saw like, oh, like you kind of killed someone and it wasn't really your fault or whatever. And...
Great. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's almost like he's like, you have it in you to
Yeah.
be a psychopath
Like
or a
me.
sociopath like me. So that was necessary. And then once he did that, there's scenes where Corey's trying to learn from Michael, and he says, teach me how to do what you do, or whatever he says. And he basically lured this one guy. Basically, he wants to kill this guy. He lures him into the sewer, knocks him unconscious. He's holding on to this guy as he's struggling, and Michael kills him in front of him. And you watch as Michael, as he kills him, he almost gets like reinvigorated and, strains his back a little bit, seems a little more energetic. And to me, that would seem like in order for him to gain power, he almost takes a life to get a life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think when you watch him in the movies and he gets shot or it looks like he dies and he gets back up, it's almost like for every life that he takes, he gets. So if you kill him once, well, if he's killed 2 people, he's got that extra life now, because now he's just going to use up one of those lives. He's still got one more in the tank. I think that's how it works. It seems pretty good because
Makes sense to me.
Corey kills his other people, and then there's a scene, he stabs himself in the throat, kills himself.
That was vicious.
He wakes back up. Oh, I was vicious. But he wakes back up, and then Michael comes in and fucking kills him. Like, snaps his neck, gets rid of him. Almost because Corey didn't kill enough people to survive Michael's power. And then also, I think because Michael can absorb the powers, he probably absorbed what was the rest of Corey's killings.
Oh, interesting.
It makes sense, right?
Horror movie logic? Yeah, that makes sense.
And then you were saying about, are you actually able to kill him because you think you've killed him
I
before?
don't think he's dead. I don't think this is the end.
So these are my thoughts. So the way the movie ends, again, another spoiler, but they take his body, parade him through the town. He's on the top of the cop car, and the whole town parades over into the scrapyard where they turn on like the car crusher, and they basically explode his body like these big metal grinders, and just grind up his body into red extra lean ground beef, meaning that even if he came back, even if he came back, he's just going to be chunks of a human. I don't think he could cause any damage.
If he's like T-1000, he can kind of just like mold back into his original form.
Well then,
Reflect.
may God have mercy on our souls.
Yeah.
And I guess the last thing to leave off on is if they wanted to do another movie, there's a scene where he goes to kill, or he's fighting with Laurie. Looks like he's going to kill her. And she looks him in the eye, and they almost have like that imprinting moment. So if they wanted to bring back the franchise, I think that's how they're going to do it with Laurie. If they did, I don't know. That was kind of, it seemed like they left themselves an opening on purpose, but I don't know how they would continue on with that, and I don't know if that would be interesting carrying on like that, but I think they left themselves with the potential.
Right. Got to show the world that women can be crazy, weird psychopaths too.
Equality.
Yeah.
And Halloween was the movie to do it. Now, let me ask you this. We've reviewed the good, the bad, and the questionable. What's the short and curlies of it? What's your score?
I think I'm going to give this one a 5.5.
Oh, well, I think that's your lowest score.
I think so.
Well, brief points. Why?
I had fun with it. I think, I don't know, like a lot of the time, knowing the history of these movies, I was wondering why they felt compelled to make another full trilogy of it. And, obviously people show up to watch these movies because the box office is crazy. But other than that, I was just kind of like, I don't know that they needed to bring him back all these times again. And, I think, I don't know, it's kind of been played out, but, that's just my opinion. So, yeah.
That's a fair point, and I'm close to you. I give it a higher score than I give Youngblood, but I'm going to give this a 6.5.
Okay.
Why is that? It's a movie that I wouldn't particularly... I'm not going to choose to watch it again, but if it was during Halloween and somebody wanted to put it on while we carve pumpkins,
Sure.
I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
Another thing is, if you watch him blowtorch a guy in the mouth, you know, that's an extra point, right? Whatever your rating is, that's a point. You know, that's
Okay.
innovative. And then the tongue on the record, come on, that's good stuff. That's just movie quality. So overall, we're looking at, drum roll please, we are looking at a bush of, I had to do the math, so it's taking me a second, 11.5. Again, we're going to use our rating score of, that's a good tush bush. Nothing that you really want to pay too much attention to, but it's maintained well enough. We're going to continue on, but it's not going to steal the show, but it's not going to take away either.
I think that's definitely what it is.
Thank you for listening, and if there is a slight squealing, we think it's L Train after I did say fuck you to him. I think that's him coming back. But it kind of fits the eerie Halloween mood to this
does.
Halloween
Screeching
ends.
tracks. Screeching tracks.
Thank you for listening, and remember, evil doesn't go away. It only changes. Ah, 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 ah.